All right, here at Apex, Brian,
Hey,
thanks
good to
so
see
much
ya.
for coming by.
Yeah.
It's great to spend time with you.
Yeah.
So I'm Andrew Scheuermann. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Arch Systems, and we're catching up with our partner, Aegis. Brian, tell us a little bit about yourself and Aegis for anyone that doesn't know. Most people do at this point, obviously. But
Yeah, hi, Brian Backenstose, Vice President of Sales at Aegis. I've been with the company since about 2000. We've been around delivering solutions in manufacturing since 1996, in the MES space since 2000, and going with the times, enjoying being here at the show and seeing plenty of folks we've seen and known for a long time.
yeah, Aegis needs no plug amongst the mid-market EMS. I think you guys are the king, and the tier one should start paying more attention. You guys are growing and just made you made a really interesting acquisition lately too. You want to say something about that?
Yeah, we acquired a company called Simio, who has a very interesting take on advanced planning and scheduling, and it's all based on simulation. As opposed to heuristics and rule-based. And I think we're onto something really, really special with them, delivering to market right now.
Yeah, no, it's awesome combined DNA because Aegis has always been about this amazing data model. And Semio's got, as you said, not just simple rule-based and constrained, it's got the simulation engine at its core. It seems like that was part of the synergy there. In that.
Absolutely. They need data to make their engine and their simulation go. And we need their technology to help people plan their daily jobs and their long-term planning.
So let's talk about data and AI a little bit. I want to have kind of a conversation like we do, every week our teams sit together in our partnership and we're working on projects, but let's share just a glimpse of that with folks on the outside. Why bring MES and AI platform together? What's valuable about that? What was the market missing that made that important?
Yeah, so when you have a full-bodied MES system like Aegis Factory Logics, we collect all of this data. We have a great data structure that makes sense of everything going on the shop floor, whether it's from business systems, from humans, from machines, and have it in a nice structured place. The more data you get, however, the harder it is for humans to sift through that data, figure out what's actionable, where are my problems, where should I spend my time next? And then if you layer on something like Arch with all of that intelligence, it helps the human, the engineers, the supervisors focus on where they should be spending their time to drive improvement, whether it's efficiency or cost or whatever it might be.
Yeah, and I like you were describing the data model. You were like, Aegis has human data and it has machine data. And I think something the market's been confused about, companies like us, we're an IoT platform and AI agent infrastructure. And sometimes people go, oh, maybe that's just about machines. Maybe it feeds the MES or maybe it takes out of the MES I don't know, why are people so confused about that? And from your perspective?
I think people get caught up in the buzzwords.
Yeah.
I think people get caught up in the ads and the billboards and it says AI, 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 and board members are saying, what do we do with AI?
Yeah.
And it's hard to sift through it and point to real cases where AI is actually able to deliver value, to cut through it.
Yeah.
And in the case where you layer the Arch engine on top of Aegis's MES system, you can get real insights rapidly that point people in the right direction. And I just don't think the market fully understands the benefit yet, or hasn't quite put their finger on it.
It's kind of impossible, right? You said it, you look around here and there's AI on literally every single billboard, but there's many different types of AI. And it's not that everyone's, there's some dishonesty out there of just throw AI, that happens a lot. With maybe some of your MES competitors we've seen, right? They just throw a buzzword out there. But there's also honesty. There's other types of AI. There's machine learning. There's computer vision from the AOI companies. It's one behind us, right? What we're really talking about here is the fact that Aegis has so much rich data. And I know Jason likes to use this for it's the ontological model, right?
Yep.
You've put so much thought into the linkage of this information. And therefore, it is possible, if you have enough time and smart humans, to sit down and solve just a huge variety of problems. What would you estimate? If Aegis has 100% problem-solving power in the data set, what do you think an average customer uses of it? Do they use 80%? Do they use 20? Do they use 50?
Probably between 30 and 50%. And
30,
we have a lot of great outputs. We have real-time dashboards and slicing and dicing of the data and reports that show up in your inbox.
Yeah.
But when you build all that out, you kind of have to know what you're looking for. It's needle in the haystack. Well, if you let AI comb through all of that data, it finds the needle in the haystack. So you're spending less time looking for something and more time fixing it.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to talk maybe about specific use cases, because you said that before. That's what resonates with people.
Yep.
And we've built a number of these together with the ARIA collaboration. One of the first ones we did was around OEE, because everybody thinks about OEE first. And so we've got the jobs that are stored in Aegis and some of the machine information. We could augment with that some more, and you can do downtimes, right? And not just downtimes of the machine. That's something that Aegis has had already, but you put these models together and you get the downtime or the slowdown of the job. We just had a customer here, in fact, an Aegis customer, and they were saying, like, I know there's all this cycle time information. I know that it's known. I just, it was exactly that. I don't have the time.
Yeah.
I don't know, how do you see that use case specifically?
I see people, again, able to get, you have a bunch of things going on the shop floor, and you're relying on humans to tell a system why this machine is down or why it's running slow or all that kind of stuff. And as soon as you're relying on humans, A, you don't know if they're going to do the data correctly, if at all.
Yeah.
B, if someone's going to pick through it later and look at it. But if you supplement that, with a learning engine that looks over history and says, okay, I know the last X number of times I saw this behavior, it was for this reason. You're not relying on all of these different operators. You have to train constantly and rely on to take the time while they're building product and getting screamed at to make shipping times and all that to go back and fill in this key information. Yeah.
Another use case that we're really excited about together is quality.
Yes.
So Aegis has an amazing quality model. You digitize the routes so people can use it for routing. They've also got the design and the CAD side, which will be really interesting. But at the core, you've got these routes, and you tend to have the test machines connected in steps, and folks can connect more test machines. And one reason sometimes they only connect one test machine is they kind of already knew they didn't have time to dig into it.
Right.
But if we connect more of them to the route, these agents can just go in and say, why am I having a defect, and kind of look through all of it. What do you is that a top problem you see with customers?
Yeah, it is definitely a top problem, because again, the MES is going to capture all of the things that go wrong, the symptoms, the defects, where the product fell out, but we can't always point back to the why. So if you have the learning engine in the background that understands and can look at this digital process we have in our data and our structure, they can start to really deliver insights to the human as to what was the why behind these quality problems.
Yeah. I heard Jason, after you guys made that exciting Simio acquisition, you've got Aegis Factory Logic, which has this model and inherent in it, this understanding of the factory and the routing and everything like that. And you've got Simio, I think he described it as a little bit like the future, the simulation engine, the what if could happen.
Right.
And then with the partnership we have together, Arch being, you kept using that word, the why, the root cause.
Yep.
And so in partnership, you've got this pretty impressive group of solutions to kind of answer everything. Yeah. Do you mind? I know, I'm sure it's where are you guys going? It seems like you're really becoming this full featured ecosystem for your customers. They don't really have to look elsewhere. Is that part of the strategy?
That's the hope, is to build a platform that covers everything in a shop floor that's not ERP or PLM. That's the dream. And that's what the market wants. The definition of MES grows every year. And it is, I want ERP, a PLM, and then you guys handle everything else. So if you look at Simio, where we can simulate what's going to happen, and then we take MES and track in real time and control, here's what happened. And then you take Arch to figure out why those things happen, because of course nothing ever happens to plan. And then you refine, you replan, you track what you did, and you repeat. It's this cycle of automated continuous improvement. Yeah. So that's the kind of the dream.
That's awesome. Maybe say a little bit about maturity. One of the things I hear folks say, you just described, was a beautiful vision. It's like you've got all the pieces here. You've got Aegis, you've got Simio, you've got this partnership with Arch, and you're evolving your own platform and growing it. And it sounds like a pretty full picture. But then folks go, that's kind of a lot of technology. Maybe they're using Aegis, but just a few of your modules. Maybe they're not using Aegis yet. can they start in different places? Do they have to start in one place? Like, how do they think about this maturity curve, right?
Well, and it's a great question. And sometimes it comes down to the customer's operational maturity. It's your point. Sometimes they're not always ready to jump into that whole big picture. So, being a modular system, we start with the basics, grow it in. But what's really helpful about layering Arch on top of that is it can start to expose where they should be growing, what they should grow into, because, the AI gets better with more data. And you guys really help visualize all the things that we know and are capturing and are happening. But the Arch piece really lets people see maybe where there's holes in their process or where they should be growing in their maturity.
I appreciate that. And, I want to throw one more highlight of our partnership that people know a little less, because the main part of our partnership is that you've got this Aegis amazing model. You're known in SMT and box build, and then we're able to use that data to root cause, as you said. But something else Aegis has really built innovation around is actually in the PLC tag mapping side of the world. You've got this really great utility there. And Arch also has a real strength outside of electronics in mapping machines, new and legacy. And so the other thing we do together is we can extend, right? And so for the companies out there that have an electronics core, but they've got other processes, that's something that I think we also really have a strength at together. So.
Yeah, and what's neat about that is, both of our systems are built in a way that it's never done as a custom one-off thing for this scenario or this industry or this process or this product, but a well thought out technology, architecture, data structure that'll loan itself to any type of manufacturing. So if we get pulled into building some widget we've never built before, it's not a problem. We already have a contextualized place to store that data, outputs, methods to push it up to AI for insights. You guys can analyze any kind of data and then bring it back and act on it. So it doesn't matter if it's something we've built 100 times over or we've never seen before. You can plug it in and just make it work and get value quickly.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think that's accelerating the pace of things. My maturity question, I think you had a great answer. Like, there is a maturity curve. Like, you can't do everything at once, and every company is based on that technology is speeding it up. And then, it's our job to work with folks to help them on the absorption of that, because it is the case that they should be absorbing faster, but still, you got to do one thing at a time, right?
Yeah.
Maybe final question for you. This has been awesome, but I'm doing a talk later on AI hype versus reality. Like, in your words, I think that's a question everyone's asking. What is total hype right now? What's reality for you?
Well, reality for us and the customers we talk to every day that are using our MES system is being able to very quickly point to somewhere that improvements can be made in a product or in a process or in a workforce or whatever it is, that value can be gained quickly. Like, manufacturers have to worry about shipping product. So they need solutions almost on a silver platter. Like, there's no such thing as an easy button, but as close as we can get to point them in direction to make their businesses better, that's reality.
It's funny you call it that. I remember our co-founder, Tim, when we were like early stage of AI, he's like, this is the closest it's ever going to be to an easy button. It's not entirely, but it's like, if you have good data, which Aegis does, dig through and find the problems for me. And contrast that. What's hype right now? What do you want people not to be distracted by?
That's a great question. Hype. I actually don't know. It's so hard to cut through the noise of the hype. I don't know what I would pin as actual hype. I just know what people want.
I like that. Yeah, you know what people want. I think that's why we went into business together, to just cut right to it. So, Brian, thanks so much. Great chatting with you.
Yeah, thanks for the time. Good luck the rest of the show.
Thank you. You too.
All right. Thank you.